Okay, besides the numbers and the votes not adding up, besides Pennsylvania and Texas and Florida refusing to allow the DOJ's monitors at the polling stations, which is what happens every single vote, period. Besides the Pennsylvania judge passing a ruling that everyone who's online, when the doors close for the day, all the people online don't get to vote. At the very same time that that was happening, Donald Trump put his very last Truth Social post, by the way, that was on the 5th, in the afternoon, about an hour before California's voting closes. He Truth Socialed out that anyone in line in California, when they are closing the doors, to stay in line and they cannot stop them from voting. So Donald Trump himself posted that message about California as the very last Truth Social post that he actually posted. And before that was the same exact post, but for a different state, for I think Nevada or Arizona or whatever. He did 4 or 5 of the same exact posts on election day and hasn't posted since. Donald Trump, who posts 20 times in a night when he has nothing to talk about, hasn't posted since the evening of the election. Now keep that in mind. We also have people now going on to the websites to check on their vote. Some states allow you to check on the status of your vote, if it was basically submitted, if it was counted, and everything else. And there are these reports nationwide of people checking on their vote in those states that allow it and finding out that their vote wasn't counted or that the computer said they did not vote. Bottom line, there was record registrations, especially for women and young voters. Record setting numbers of registrations. We had Taylor Swift that sent, 1 million people in one night to register to vote. And the total number of votes through the entire country, through the entire election, totaled 140 million and change. 2020 was 155 million. The mail-in votes alone were 89 million. The early registration votes, in addition to the mail-in votes, were another 90 million. And there was only 140 million votes cast. Doesn't add up. So there are a bunch of movements going on all throughout the country, a bunch of people rising up. Revolution Washington has a petition that we are putting out to demand investigations into all this. But I don't think we have to demand really any investigations, because I believe the Kamala Harris speech and the Joe Biden speech and the Tim Walz speech was a setup. Donald Trump has not been heard from since that party that he had. There is a rumor that he is under medical supervision, that he had a medical issue. That is just a rumor. We don't know. What we do know is not one Republican has posted, has said, has interviewed, has anything, and not one Democrat. And we have 3 of the biggest states in the election that denied the DOJ monitors. We had Pennsylvania shutting out thousands of voters at each polling station, essentially, by shutting the doors and not allowing them to vote. We had voter purges in Texas of over 1 million votes, voter purges in Pennsylvania of a couple 100,000, 500,000, something like that. Arizona, a couple 100,000, plus all the natives they tried to squeeze out of the voting rolls. Then there were the states that just adopted these new voting regulations where if you didn't like someone across the street from you, you could actually tap in their voter registration and say, I think he's a fraud. And they would automatically be taken off the voter rolls. Now, the beautiful part about that is that person that was taken off the voter rolls isn't notified that they're taking off the voting rolls. So they'll show up to vote and won't be able to. So there's that. Plus, all these reports lately of these people nationwide that are calling to check up on their votes and finding out that they never voted when they know for a fact they did. This election was not a legitimate election by any stretch of the imagination. Kamala Harris, being the prosecutor that she is, did not turn her back on this country and on women's rights and on all the things that are important about the 2024 election less than 24 hours after that very, very, very fraud-riddled election went through. She did not turn her back and give up the fight. She spoke very, very clearly and sent messages throughout her speech to tell people not to give up and the fight is not over. Yes, she was referring to the future, but she was mainly referring to this election. This election is not over. Joe Biden did the same thing. Joe Biden reiterated 3 times during his speech that we have 74 days to fix these problems. He said to clean this up. He said that a couple of different ways, a couple of different times, but he kept reiterating, we have 74 days to make this better. The investigations that are going on are going to come to fruition very, very soon. There was already raids on people like the Oaks, Ariel Oaks, whatever the guy's name is. That was very big for Donald Trump. He was on stage with him. Well, the evening after he got off stage with him during that party, his home and his farm was raided. This is a place Michael Flynn and a bunch of Trump's people met the night of the election, the night before the election. I guess it was a meeting place for figuring something out, but who knows what it is. There was also a couple other raids that went on nationwide connected with the Trump campaign. There is something very, very big going on in the backdrop, ladies and gentlemen, and we should not be stressing out. We should not be worrying. We should have faith that the intelligence community and the prosecutor-in-chief would never turn her back on this country. So have some faith. This is when the history books will reflect the Democrats and some Republicans coming together to save democracy against Germany Part 2. Stay diligent, stay educated, and be kind. We are all in this together, whether we like it or not. God bless.